Hello, hello, hello. I am the Linux Mench. Back in November, I made 2 videos on the Spectre Window Manager, and I've been using it for a month at home and at work, and I've learned more about it, and I've updated my configuration file. So today, I'm going to make a 3rd video on the Spectre Window Manager. So, let's get to it. Normally in my videos, I go into a virtual machine and show you what I want to show you. But today I'm not going to go into a virtual machine. Today I'm just going to work in my bare metal computer, my main production computer. And in this computer, I'm running Arch Linux with the Spectre Window Manager. So I already have a terminal opened up on Workspace 1. So I'm going to go to Workspace 1. And of course, the Spectre Window Manager, you don't use your mouse. It's all keyboard driven, right? And of course, you can use your mouse when you're in an app, like your file manager or a music player or a video player or your web browser. Of course, the mouse works, but it doesn't work with the window manager itself. So I'm going to hit my mod key, and I already have a terminal open up. So I'm going to go to Workspace, and you can see right here, I have OBS is open on Workspace 9, but that's on my other monitor. You can't see it. And I'm on Workspace 2 right now, but I'm going to go to Workspace 1. And now we're on Workspace 1, and I already have my terminal opened up. And I'm going to go to cd into .config/Spectrwm. Okay, and so we're in .config/Spectrwm. Now, if you downloaded my GitLab repository before today, and today is Sunday, December the 8th, if you downloaded my GitLab repository before today, you should do a git pull so you can update, because I made some changes to some of my files. Of course, I changed my folder for Spectrwm. It's totally different. And I also changed my auto app, my post install script for Arch Linux. So you want to do a git pull. And if you do a git pull, you're going to have to copy the Spectre window manager folder into your .config directory in your home directory, right? So let's do an ls. So before today, the only thing that was in this folder was spectrwm.conf. Now that file has been changed a lot. I made a lot of changes in that file since my last video. Actually, this weekend, I made a lot of changes in that file. And I also added 2 more files. I added this file, Autostart File, and I also added a Baraction File. So I added these 2 files, and I made a lot of changes in the spectrwm.conf file. Okay, so you want to do a git pull. If you want to use my file, you want to do a git pull and then copy it from the Mench directory into your home.config directory. Now I'm just going to quickly show you what's in the Baraction file. So let's vim into it. So this file is the file that puts up this volume control up here, okay? Where it says volume 40%, that gets that up in the bar or the status bar, okay? And I'm not going to go through this. I'm just going to close it. Now I'm going to go into my Autostart. I'm going to vim into Autostart. So in Autostart file, I have, when I log into the Spectre Window Manager, it's going to start Nitrogen, my wallpaper application. It's going to start IMWheel, which is just a program that controls my mouse scroll speed. And it's going to start Numlock X, which makes sure my side number keypad is turned on. And it's going to also start my Power Manager. Now, before today, in my previous configuration, I didn't have this file, the Autostart file here. All these apps were made to auto start in the main Spectre configuration file, and I'm going to show you. And if you watched my last 2 videos, you would know that anyways. So I'm going to close this. Let's clear the screen. Let's ls it. And now so I added these 2 files, right? And then I made lots of changes to my spectre.conf. So let's vim into it. Vim Spectre Window Manager.conf. Now I'm not going to highlight all the changes I made because I don't remember them, because I've been making changes to this configuration file over the past month since I've been using it. But I'm going to highlight the main changes I've made. And I'm also going to try not to repeat too many things that I talked about in my last two videos on the Spectre Window Manager. So if you see right here, line 135 to 140, I've given names to my workspaces. So you can see workspace 9 is called OBS. Now I had this in my previous videos, but I think I only had 1 or 2 items in here. So I added more items. Workspace 22 is going to be Thunderbird, or my email app. Workspace 3 is Firefox. Workspace 9 is OBS. Workspace 8 is Virt Manager, the app I use for all my virtual machines. Workspace 7 is Kdenlive, and Workspace 6 is GIMP. Now, so like I said, in my previous configuration, I think I only had 1 or 2 items in here. Now I have 6 items. And these are just labels. So when you put this here, it doesn't mean Firefox is going to open up on Workspace 3. You can open up anything on Workspace 3. And with this there, you can open up Firefox on any workspace, and it will not automatically go to Workspace 3. This area here, line 135 to 140, these are just labels for the workspaces. They have nothing to do with the app opening up on that particular workspace. Now, while we're here, I just want to mention, and I want to mention this in case you download my configuration file, on line 148, well, the default for Spectre Window Manager, the mod key is 1, which would be your Alt key. That's the default. And I changed it to mod key 4, which is the Windows key. Because in all my window managers, I always use mod key 4, or the Windows key, as my mod key. And so I changed that in my previous configuration, but I changed it back since then to mod key 1. And the reason why is that at work, I'm running Arch Linux, and I'm logging into our cloud Windows system. It's a cloud system for Windows 10, and I'm logging into that. And using the Windows key as the mod key was interfering. So at work, in my Arch Linux system, I made the mod key 1, or the Alt key. So having at home the mod key 4, the Windows key, at home, and at work having mod key 1, the Alt key, was messing up my head. So at home now, I changed the mod key back to mod key 1, which is the Alt key. So just letting you know, so if you download my configuration file, right now, the mod key, it's mod key 1, it's the Alt key. So if you want the Windows key to be the mod key, then you got to change line 148 to mod key 4. Okay? So I just thought I'd let you know. Sorry I'm over explaining this, but I just wanted to explain that while I'm there. And also, line 182, I have ST, because I have the ST terminal, or the simple terminal, installed on my system. But if you're running Xterm, you're going to have to change line 182. You're going to have to change that to Xterm, okay? You're going to have to type in Xterm there. Or if you're running some other terminal, GNOME Console or Alacrity or some other terminal, you're going to have to take the ST out and put that in there, okay? That's line 182. Now, in my previous, well, let's start here. Let's start at line 209. So in my previous videos and in my previous configuration, there was no volume here. Now, normally in my other window managers, like in Qtile, the awesome window manager, the i3 window manager, I use volume icon. I couldn't figure out how to get it working in here. So I have this set up. So right now you can see the volume is at 40%. So if I do mod key control 2, it's going to go up by 10%. So let's do it. Let's do control mod key. Now remember, right now the mod key is Alt, but you can change that to the Windows key if you want. I'm going to do Control, Alt, 2, and now it changed to 50%. See that? And I'm going to do it again. It's going to change to 60 and 70. Now, if I do Mod key Control 1, it's going to go down 10%. So I'm going to do Mod key Alt 1. See it going down to 60%, 50%, 40%. Now I'm going to jump down to this bottom line here, line 221 and 222. This is a toggle, and what this is going to do, it's going to just toggle your volume on or off. So if I do Mod key Control M, Control Mod key M, it's going to toggle the volume off. And if I do Mod key Control M again, it's going to toggle the volume on. Now, it works, but the thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't show up here. It doesn't show that your volume's been toggled off. So you could accidentally, Mod key Control M, toggle it off, not realize that you did it or forget that you did it, and then you're playing something and the volume is not working, the audio is not working, and then you might think, well, maybe the wire is not connected at the back, right? So I left it in there, and I might comment it out or deactivate it for myself because it's, in a way, I don't like it. I like the fact that you can toggle the volume on and off quickly and easily. And when you toggle the volume back on, it's going to go to the volume that you were at, regardless of whether you're at 100%, 40%, or 20%. When you toggle it on or off, it's going to go back to the percentage that you were at before you turned it off. But I don't like it because there's no notification there. Now, maybe there is a way to get a notification there. I just don't know how to do it. I haven't figured that out yet. So what I did was, we jump up to line 215 and 216. And I do Mod key Control 0. Mod key Control 0. It's going to turn your volume off, and you're going to see it's at 0. And I really like that because that way, if your sound is not working, you're not going to think, oh, maybe the wire came unplugged at the back. You're going to look up in the corner and you're going to see your volume's at 0. To turn it back on, I'm going to go to line 218 and 219. So Mod key Control 9. So Mod key Control 9. It's going to bring it up to 30%. Now, the thing I don't like about this is that it's not going to bring it back up to the percentage of volume that you were listening at when you toggled it off, whereas line 221 and 222 will. But I put it at 30% because if you have it off, I don't want to turn it on, especially if I have my headphones on. I don't want to blast out my ears. I don't want it to just jump up to 100% and blast out my ears. So I put it to 30%. Control Alt 9 turns it back on, only at 30%. And of course, if you want to, you can use 221 and line 221 and 222. And you can do Control Mod key M will just turn it off. And Control Mod key M again will turn it back on to the previous volume you were at. The only thing is that when it's off, there'll be no notification in the corner of your screen of your monitor. And if you accidentally hit it and you're not getting any sound, you might think that your wires are unplugged or something, okay? If you're going to use my configuration file, like I said, Mod key Control 2 is going to raise your volume by 10%. It goes up to 40 and 50. Now, if you want, you can change this to be 5% or 20% or whatever. And the same with this. Mod key Control 1 is going to bring your volume down by 10%. But again, you can change this to be 5% or 20%. So Control Mod key 0 brings our volume to 0. And Mod key Control 9 turns it back on and brings it up to 30%. But you can change that. If you want that to be at 100, you can change it to 100 or 40 or 50 or whatever, okay? And like I said again, Mod key Control M, it's just going to toggle your volume off, but there won't be any notification. And it will toggle it back on to the volume that you were at. Now, I think I said way too much about that. Now, I added a lot more programs here. And in my previous video, I had some programs in here. And these are all my key bindings to open up the programs. So mod key F is going to open up Firefox. So mod key, if you look at line 254 and 255, mod key Control K is going to open up Kdenlive. Down below it, at the bottom there, mod key Control O is going to open up OBS Studio. And it's pretty straightforward. So I'm just showing you this because I added a lot more key bindings than I had in my previous configuration file and in my previous videos on the Spectre Window Manager. I added all these key bindings to open up these apps. Okay, now of course dmenu is installed, so you could just do mod key P and open up dmenu and open up an app that way, right? Hit enter. I'm not going to open up Firefox, but you can do that. So dmenu is installed. It's mod key P. I have all these key bindings, so I'm not going to go through them all. It's pretty straightforward. And of course, if you use my configuration file, you can change these key bindings to whatever you want, right? But that's the way I have it. Okay, so I added a lot more key bindings. Now, down here, remember I said, let's go back up to the top. This paragraph from line 135 to 140, remember I said those are just labels for the workspaces? And I had a few of them in there before, but I added more. Those are just labels. They don't actually open up. Firefox won't actually open up on Workspace 3. And GIMP won't automatically open up on Workspace 6. Those are just labels for the workspaces. But if you want your apps to open up on a specific workspace, then you're going to go down to the bottom. So this is another thing. Now, when I made my other video, I said it's not possible. I think I said something to the fact that it's not possible with Spectre Window Manager to make a app open up in a specific workspace, but I was wrong. So now I have that set here. So what I have is on line 300, Vert Manager is going to open up on workspace 8. So let's do that. So now let's go back up to, so we see here, I have on line 264, mod Control V is going to open up Vert Manager. Okay. So let's go to the bottom. You see on line 300, I have it set Vert Manager is going to open up on workspace 8. So let's try it. Mod Control V, and there we have it there. See, workspace 8, Vert Manager is there. Now let's just jump to 8, mod key 8, and there's Vert Manager. And we can see Vert Manager is opened up, and it's on workspace 8, and it's labeled Vert Manager. Now let's go back to workspace 1, and we can see. So right now we're on workspace 1. I have Vert Manager open up on workspace 8, and I have OBS Studio open up on workspace 9, which you can't see because it's on my other monitor. Okay, so that's how you do that. So if you see on line 296, I have GIMP is always going to open up on full screen. And on line 302, I have it programmed that GIMP is going to always open up on workspace 6. On line 303, Kdenlive is going to open up on workspace 7. Now, 304 and 305, I had trouble with. I had a lot of trouble figuring out how to get Firefox and Thunderbird email to open up on a specific workspace. I did a lot of research, a lot of internet research, and here they have it here as in 294 Firefox-bin : Firefox-bin. That doesn't work. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of Googling, actually DuckDuckGo, and looking at videos. And finally, I figured it out. I found some information on the internet on how to do it. So if you're in Arch Linux, you have to have it like this: Firefox : Navigator with a capital N. I have it opening up on workspace 3. And Thunderbird, you have to have it like this: Thunderbird : Mail with a capital M, and that's opening up on workspace 22. That's how you have to put it in. Now, if you're not sure, now it might be different if you're in Debian or some other distribution. And the way you find it out is, so I'm going to open up Firefox. So my key binding for Firefox is mod key F. I'm going to do mod key F. So we can see that on workspace 3, Firefox is open. We're going to jump to workspace 3 now, mod key 3, and there's Firefox. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a terminal beside Firefox, because this is a tiling window manager, right? So actually it's a dynamic window manager. Sorry about that. And I'm going to do mod key enter. I'm going to type in X prop. I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to click on this. I clicked on Firefox and it brings up this window. So now we can see, let's close that. We don't need Firefox opened up anymore. We can see, let's highlight this. Window class string Navigator Firefox. Okay, now let's go back to workspace 1. Now, if you noticed, workspace 3, Navigator is first before Firefox, and it's capitalized. When I put it in that way here, like when I put Navigator Firefox, it didn't work. So like I said, I did a lot of playing around, and when I put it in this way, it worked. Why? I don't know. And then I did the same thing with Thunderbird. Let's go back to workspace 3 and let's clear the screen. Let's open up Thunderbird. So I'm going to open up Thunderbird on my other monitor, which means you won't be able to see it. It won't come in the recording. So to open up Thunderbird, it's my key binding is mod key E. E for email. Okay. Okay, so my email is open up now. Just make this larger. So now I'm going to type in X prop again. And now I'm going to take my mouse and click on Thunderbird. Now Thunderbird is opened, but it's on the other monitor because I don't want you to see my emails. So I'm going to click it on, and it brings this up. Okay, so now we can see window manager class string equals mail, Thunderbird, and mail is capitalized. And notice the mail is first. I had to reverse it. If we go back to workspace 1, see I have Thunderbird and then mail, and the mail is capitalized. So that's how you get apps to open up on specific workspaces. And if you're not sure how to do it, then you have to open up your app, open up a terminal, type in X prop, and then click on the app, and then it's going to show you what the string is. Okay? I had to uncomment line 73. So line 73 was deactivated or commented out. I had to uncomment it or activate it. And I had to type in this command, ~.config/spectrwm/baraction. So the configuration file is guiding it to the baraction, because without the baraction file, this volume percentage won't show up here and it won't work. Okay, so I had to uncomment it and direct it towards that file. And also some other changes I made since my last video on the Spectre window manager is this. Now line 168 was never activated, but if you activate line 168, when you log in to the window manager, it's going to automatically open up Firefox. So I never had that activated. But I did have in my previous configuration file and in my previous videos, I had line 170 to 174 activated. So when I logged into the window manager, nitrogen was started. IMWheel for my mouse scroll speed was activated. Numlock for my side key pad, my side key number lock pad was turned on. In line 174, my power manager was turned on. So now I have them, like I showed you at the beginning of the video, I have an Autostart file. And I have all those in there. So instead of deleting them in here, I just deactivated them. I put the hashtag there to deactivate them, just in case I want to use them down the road or in case someone wants to use it. So now the only thing I have activated here is line 175. Well, I have two things activated, right? I have Baraction, right? Line 73. I have bar action for the volume control activated, and it's directing it towards that file in my configuration folder. And I have line 175 activated, which is auto run, and it's directing the configuration file to my Autostart file, which is new, right? It's directing it to tilde / which is my home directory, .config Spectrwm / Autostart file. And then in my Autostart file, I have nitrogen, imwheel, numlockx, and power manager. I hope that's clear. I think it's clear. So now I'm going to close this and show you a few more things, and then the video will be over. So don't go away. So let's close this. So let's cd into my Mench folder. Let's ls it. Let's cd into my Arch folder. Let's clear the screen. Let's ls it. Well, you know what? Let's cd into Spectrwm. Cd into my Spectrwm folder, which is up here. So this is my Mench directory that's in my GitLab repository. This has the updated configuration file and bar action for the volume control, and my Autostart file for the apps I want to auto start when I log into the system. This folder has all my updated. Now, this volume control won't work from this bar action unless we download another app. So now I went and downloaded the app so it would work for me, and I added that app to my post install script for Arch Linux. So what I'm going to do is cd -1, clear the screen. So now I'm in my Arch folder, and I'm going to open up this auto app. So just in case you don't know, I have an auto app. So whenever I do a Arch installation, regardless of whether I'm installing Arch the manual way, the traditional way, or I'm using the relatively new, I don't know, 2 or 3 year old Arch install script, because the Arch ISO comes with an Arch install script, which makes it easier to install Arch Linux. But anyways, regardless of whether I'm doing an Arch install the manual and traditional way, or I'm using their relatively new automated installer, I always do a base install of Arch Linux with root only. Then I boot into the system and I make myself a user with sudo privileges, and then I download all my favorite apps. And I use this post install script to download all my apps. And I'm just explaining this in case you're new to my channel. So this is the file here, auto app. So let's vim into it. Vim auto. So I use this app after doing a base install of Arch Linux. I use this file the script to quickly and easily download all my favorite apps, window managers, and desktop environments. And if you go to the bottom, there's 88 lines there, and it's downloading all these apps, okay? After a base installation of Arch Linux. Let's go to the top. So I added, let's go down, line 7. So in order to get the volume control to work on my status bar, I had to download alsa-utils. Okay, so now I added that to my post install script. So the next time I do a brand new installation in a virtual machine or in a bare metal computer, it's going to install that app. And of course, if you use my post install script after a base install of Arch Linux, you're going to get that app as well. Even though you have that bar action file in the configuration folder, you have to have alsa-utils installed in your system or it won't work. So like I said, I added it to my post install script, so it's always going to be there. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about, that I talked about in my last video on Spectrwm, but I think it's important because I added a lot of key bindings here, or apps. So if you get an error message, now I'm going to purposely make an error message. Say I have the key binding for Brave browser, and I don't have the Brave browser installed on this particular computer. I do have it on other computers, but not this one. So what I'm going to do is, now when you get my configuration file, Brave browser is going to be deactivated or commented out, right? So I'm going to activate it. I'm going to take the hashtag out. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to restart my window manager. So this is what happens when you get an error message. It's going to tell you where it is. And it's telling us, could not find Brave. Okay, so here's Brave. So I'm going to deactivate the line. And it's doing that because it recognizes, somehow it's intelligent, and it recognizes that Brave browser is not installed on my system. So I'm going to hashtag it out or deactivate it, right? I'm going to save it. I'm going to restart my window manager. And now it's gone. And the reason why I'm showing this again, because I already showed this in my other video, is there's a possibility that if you download my configuration file and use it just the way it is, you might get an error message, and you might get more than one. You might get several error messages. Because I have all these key bindings here, and if you notice starting at line 227, all the way down, I have all these key bindings for all these apps. So there's a possibility that you may not have some of these apps installed on your system, maybe 2, 3, or 4 of them, right? And also, I have names for the apps here in this block, and you may not have all those apps installed. And then at the bottom, I also have apps here in the quirks, and you may not have all those apps installed. So if there's anything in this configuration file that's not installed on your system, you're going to get an error message. So you might get several error messages. The beautiful thing is that on top, it's going to show you where the error message is. And once you fix that error message, if there's another error message, it's going to show you that as well. And every time you delete a line or deactivate a line that has an error message, save your configuration file and restart your window manager, it's going to show you the next error message that's on there. So it's pretty easy to find the error messages and to fix them. And I just wanted to let you know, because there's a possibility you may not have all these apps installed and you might get some error messages. Let's say you don't have Firefox installed and you install this my configuration file. So you're going to have to delete Firefox out of every instance where it is in this app. Or put a hashtag there and deactivate it. So if you go search for Firefox, well, that you're going to have to deactivate it in this block if it's there, right? Well, let's just do a search for Firefox. You're going to have to delete it or deactivate the line of 227 and 228. And line 304, you're going to have to deactivate it or delete it from line 304. Every instance where there's the word Firefox. And also, let's just get out of there. Let's go into CD. Let's clear the screen. Let's CD into .config/vector. And now that's it. And the same thing with the Autostart. So let's just vim into Autostart. If you don't have nitrogen, you're going to have to delete it or put the hashtag in front of it to deactivate it. The same thing with numlock or imwheel or the XFC for Power Manager. Okay. So the configuration file is very sensitive, but it's very easy to find out where the errors are. Once you fix one error, if there's another error, when you restart the window manager, it's going to show you where the error is, and you're going to have to go and fix it. And I'm just telling you that because there's a possibility if you use my configuration file, you might have several errors if you don't have all the apps that I have installed. And that's it. In this video, my third video on the Spectre window manager in the past month, I showed the changes I made to my configuration file. I showed the changes I made to my Autostart file. I showed how to get an app to open up on a specific workspace. And I even showed the difficulty I had with Firefox and Thunderbird and how I found a solution out to it. And I also showed how to get volume control up in the status bar and how it works and how you can configure it to the way you want it to be in case you don't like my configuration. And I also showed you how to fix errors. If you get errors in your configuration file, and there's a possibility you will, because I have a lot of key bindings in there, and you may not have some of those apps installed. And if you don't have any of those apps installed, you're going to get error messages, but the error messages are easy to find and easy to fix. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Until next time, I am the Linux Mench.